Evening, everybody. Welcome to We the People of Eastern Kentucky. I'm Terry V. Mansallia here with the co-host over here.
Christopher Cody Allen.
Yes, sir. And we have a special guest with us tonight. Ethan Allen, a local artist, is coming in to share some music with us maybe and talk about what he's doing and things that he's done, what he's going to do, where he wants to go, and all that kind of deal. He's our special guest tonight. We want to thank all of our sponsors, and you'll see them probably on our edited version, I guess, on the side there.
Yes.
And so tune into those. In a couple of days, we'll have the edited version here, and that you can see on our.
We can run through the list real quick here.
Our channels. Will go ahead.
All right. This podcast and all podcasts by Appalachia Insider are sponsored by Appalachia Insider and BMO Business Alliance. They're also sponsored by Crease House Digital and More, Appalachia TCG Tabletop Gaming, World Tech Community Council, Montgomery County Public Library, Sloan Chiropractic, if you need your back crack, call Zach. TechHolly.com, Jessica D. Williams Photography, and the Appalachia Connection podcast, as well as always and forevermore, Ready Made Cheesecake. And one of our new sponsors, DJ Timmy, 606 DJ Timmy, wearing the shirt tonight. DJ Timmy is a proud sponsor of Appalachia Insider, and Appalachia Insider is a proud sponsor of DJ Timmy. If you need any DJ work done, kind of hold the DJ Timmy on Facebook.
He is the best in the business. That's a fact.
DJ Timmy is?
Oh, he's the man.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You want to sing it, he'll find it, and he'll make it work. He's the
Really?
man.
Thousands,
that's awesome.
Thousands, maybe even hundreds of
I
thousands of songs.
play games and try to stump him. I'll be like, hey, man, can you
is that
find,
right?
like some random offcut from 1964? And he's like, I got you. Give me 3 minutes. And he gets it every time. He's
Does
the
he
best
do
in the business.
karaoke or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, he travels around, does karaoke, and I
Wow.
have yet to name something to him that he couldn't find. And I'm talking stuff like random guys on the come up on YouTube or whatever. Timmy finds it somehow and puts it up karaoke. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
know how he
talking like
does it.
British. I need the Clash.
He's the man.
I got
Oh,
it.
you are kidding.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
the guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to know. We got a new sponsor there, and we can take care of a lot of. We got weddings in June and July and all that.
Timmy is available for
he
weddings.
could
Actually,
do that. Yeah.
he just recently got a new setup to do a photo booth. That's
Really?
really popular. He did a wedding just a while back, and he takes his photo booth and sets up with him. That's real popular at weddings at the reception. People can come in, do photo bombs, stuff like that. It's a good time.
That sounds great.
And I've known him for over a decade. He's known him longer than I have. And the tip bucket that I take to shows when I play shows, on the back of it says DJ Timmy because he gave it to me like 10 years ago when we met. So it's kind of a full circle thing. We love him. He's the man.
Excuse me, guys. Well, excuse me. Got to get the old voice back here. Tonight we got a special guest. I've known this feller for a couple of years now. Been out there singing on the songwriter too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Yeah, but we, the people of Eastern Kentucky, try to focus on three aspects, as we always talk about: economic development, community involvement, and political impact. And tonight we're not going to talk about the impact that we had last week at the debate and all that kind of good stuff. That's why we have Ethan coming in here. We're going to be able to.
Well, we may bring it up a little.
I don't know.
Just a little bit.
I don't know if we really want to do that. Yeah, but we are so proud and grateful. We have a lot of talented people here in Eastern Kentucky, and the biggest opportunity, there's not enough venues and things like that around here to be able to play. We have a lot of talented people, local artists and things, and I've been probably involved with the arts here in Eastern Kentucky, gosh, for the last 20 years. And actually one of the things that's on my heart is I'm developing an opportunity to be able to work with artists in Eastern Kentucky to be able to help them promote their career and stuff. I was so lucky to be able to do some things in my musical career, and once you go through it, you learn it. You learn the pitfalls of, do I need to do this direction? What do I need to do? How do I put together press packs? All that kind of stuff. How do I promote myself? And I know it's really tough as an independent, artist. But everybody seems to think, oh my God, I got to have that big record deal and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things in my background that I had a lot of people tell me was, don't find us, we'll find you. And that's one of the big things is Be the best artist you can be locally. Be the best artist you can be regionally. And when you get to the national level, people will find you. And we got a young man with us tonight that's been on the music scene around here for quite a while, and he's creating a good stir and doing a great job. And his career has advanced along since we've known each other. And so with that,
Now, let's go ahead. I do want to clarify, too, for all the viewers, in case you haven't noticed by the last name, obviously, there is a slight bias. Now, I would like to say that I'm his biggest fan, but that's not true. My dad is. But this obviously is my baby brother, so I do have a bit of bias toward him.
oh my goodness, family thing. Well, that's
We're a
good.
very musical.
You know,
family.
one of the things the other night I was watching on Facebook, and was that your son playing the guitar?
Yes.
You know, everybody in their family, I think, plays the guitar. Whatever you were telling me, you
For the
played the
most
guitar,
part,
and I
I do,
really
yeah.
didn't know that. I said, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, for the most part, we're very well. You know, Dad and I, we used to talk about this all the time. When I decided to pick up the guitar and start playing, he did the same way.
Mhm.
When we decided to pick up and start playing, we just came to it naturally. And I believe that the reason is because we was raised around our dad. Our dad would pick the guitar up and we'd sit and watch him. And when you
And
sit,
uncles and
and
cousins
uncles and
and
cousins and stuff like that.
everybody.
When
Really?
you're around it like that,
It's in your
and you
blood.
decide to take it up, even
Yeah.
when you didn't know you were learning,
Yeah.
you were learning.
Hmm.
So you were seeing it. You were understanding how pitch works. You were understanding tone. You were understanding. You would look and see how they hit the chords and didn't even realize you were picking it up.
Yeah.
And we have a highly musical family. Like what was Kenny? Our first, second cousin, whatever.
Kenny was our second.
Our second
Kenny's our-
cousin was you
Second
met him.
cousin.
Kenny Blanton was a professional level touring, played with the biggest Saxon bluegrass mandolin player of the highest
Best mandolin
caliber.
player I've ever heard.
Best mandolin player I've ever met
Played,
personally as
he
well.
played in Ireland. He played all across Europe. He
And
was,
how was Kenny related to you all?
Second cousin.
Second cousin.
yeah.
Mhm.
His and like I told you this the other night, his mother is my mother's aunt.
Hmm.
So Kenny would be our second cousin, and our family, and you know this is a common thing for East Kentucky folks. So I know that everybody's going to associate with this.
Good.
I have family members that may be even fourth or fifth or sixth cousin, but because they were always, you know, the family's all together in this one big holler, so we all grow up together as one big solid unit. It doesn't really matter how close related you are. They're all the first cousins, even if they're not.
And they're all musical.
And they're all musical.
Every one of them. Like our uncle on our father's side was best friends with Dave Evans, the bluegrass musician, and so it was not uncommon for Dave to show up at his house and then them to jam for 8 hours. And then we got cousins out of Michigan and Indiana that are all incredible. Like it's the whole family. The
Yeah.
family reunions are pretty intense, you know.
Yeah, that's
And it's multi-instrumental too. It's not just guitar. Although guitar is predominant, you know, of course, not everybody can play guitar, but a lot of us branched into other instruments. Like my first cousin is an excellent mandolin player.
Started
Stetson
with guitar.
started with guitar and then moved to mandolin and is nearly the caliber as Kenny was. Like he's an excellent mandolin
And then
player.
we-
He's shy. He has no interest in pursuing it. It's not his thing. But as
Really?
far as playing in the living room, he can't be beat.
And then we have another cousin out of Ohio that literally plays about anything he gets a hold of. So he plays drums, piano, guitar, mandolin. I think he can play the violin, banjo.
Yeah.
If
Steve can play
if it's
anything.
got a string, if it's got a string on it, he can play it.
Well, you know, I've seen a lot of people play guitar, and I've seen people play mandolin. Rarely do you see people interchange.
I do both.
You know, I know, but what I'm saying is, usually you see somebody specialize in one or the other, this and that. But
Well, we do have that in the family. I mean, typically when the family member, and you know nobody tells them what to play, but when the family member picks their instrument, that's their instrument.
yeah.
You know, they can play guitar, they can play the violin, or they can play the fiddle, you know, whatever. But this is their one that they're known for. So when we all get together and jam, everybody knows.
Everybody's like, hey, bro, grab
Stetson-
the
yeah,
mandolin.
grab that mandolin.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know what? Now tell me, because I don't play. You know, I used to play chords or whatever on a guitar, this and that. But the chord system is different with the mandolin than a guitar.
Yeah.
That would be very difficult to me
It
to
is.
learn if you learn, you know, G and all that kind of
that's any
stuff.
instrument. No, so you look at a banjo. You hit a G on a guitar, you hit it like this.
Mm-hmm.
A banjo, a G is just open.
Really?
Because it's tuned open G.
It's
But like
tuned
with a
open G.
mandolin, for example, I dabble with a mandolin. I'm not a
Mhm.
mandolin player, but I can get by.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I can get by, for example, is that you can take one chord shape on mandolin, learn that shape, move it to 7 different positions, and play most of the major chords.
Hmm.
Just hold your hand in that shape, move it up and down and around. And
Really?
music, of course, is A through G. So my cousin that's really good at mandolin, I was just talking about, he sat me down like an hour on a Saturday one time, was like, here, watch this, hold like
taught you
this,
all
now
that.
move there. Okay, and that's where they are. And so me and him would just alternate. I'd hand him the guitar, he'd hand me the mandolin, and we'd play and then switch back and forth because we can both play everything.
That's
And
so
we
good.
come from the cradle up together, so we can almost communicate without speaking,
Mhm.
And so it worked out, and I can dabble with mandolin. Music is a language, and once you understand the language, it translates elsewhere. You just have to learn, like you said, the different shapes or the nuances of each instrument.
You know what was so unique to me? I started, music when I was younger and things. A lot starting in church, But when I went in to do things professionally down in Nashville and stuff like that, it's a whole new ballgame. I mean, people play by chords and things like that up here, but they use the number system
National
in
number
Nashville.
system, yeah.
You know, 1 through 7 and all that.
My son's currently learning that right now in
And
school.
I mean, that was just so amazing to me to see the difference, because a lot of people naturally play by ear down there, but it just freaked me out because I'd always known the A through G and all this, and I was like, okay. And then now they're talking numbers, and it was really freaky to me because we went in studio and laid some background tracks, and put the instrumentals in there and stuff. They're all using different numbers and all that kind of deal. They just wrote numbers on the chart. Is how they did it.
Yeah, like
it was
1,
just
4,
really,
5, that kind of stuff.
yeah, it was freaky to me.
My little boy is, they've approached him about playing at the MAC for the junior opera and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
one of the things for him to start doing that, someone told us that he needed to know the Nashville number system. So that's one of the things he's been trying to learn and pick up here lately himself.
Yeah, I think, Jody does that too. I think, of course, Jody plays a lot by ear, up there. But I knew Jody because I used to go to Allen Baptist Church, and he was minister of music up there for a while, and got to know him real well, and all the people that's affiliated that. Well, enough about us or whatever. It's neat to know about the family. I'm interested in that. I didn't know we were going to kind of go that direction, but I mean, that's awesome because, to be honest, in eastern Kentucky, which is we're talking about, we the people, I see an influx of more people than ordinary in the business of being able to play multiple instruments. And they'll be passing things around where I wasn't used to that before. I see that happen more in our home here in eastern Kentucky than I see in anywhere. And that's why I say that there's so many talented people out there that people don't know anything about. And so I would like to see more places and things like that. And actually, I have a music label called Maxim Music. And it was back during the early 90s that I did contemporary gospel and traveled all over the place. But also got in context with a lot of country, stars and stuff like that. I did a show on Cashbox Magazine down at the Gaylord Hotel one night. We did a TV cable show. They had an award show down there, and I got to see Clint Black and be with them. Shenandoah, Alabama was there. Clint Black. So there's a lot of people. So there is kind of a crossover between gospel and country, through the years, this and that or whatever. But tell us about you, Ethan. What got you started? I know your family, but talk about your style of music, what you like to do, what you like to play, how you decided to get into this, and just really what's happening with your career right now.
Okay. I mean, the familial influence can't be overlooked for sure. But honestly, I tell most people when they ask, and it's the truth, that at about the age of 15, I heard Led Zeppelin 4 for the first time, and it changed everything.
Really?
Yeah, that was the moment for me, to be honest. I was not musical. I mean, I've been musical my whole life. I wrote my first song at 2. Like, it's in there. But I just wasn't particularly interested in it beyond me in a band and being a band kid and that kind of thing, too. But, like, at the age of about 15, like, I can remember where I was sitting when I heard Kashmir the first time. And I believe that's off. Yeah. That might be off Physical Graffiti, but nonetheless.
Led Zeppelin. Yeah.
That first big riff, that da-na-na, I was like, what even is that? How is he doing that? And Jimmy Page changed my life.
Yeah.
Which is unexpected given the cowboy hat and the acoustic guitar and things, but I also do like as far as my musical style, it's kind of a mishmash of all that. I play old folk songs, I play new country songs, I play 90s country songs. I do a Jimi Hendrix cover in almost every show. You know, I just whatever speaks to me kind of. And music, without being overly cliched and tropey, music has really been the only constant in my entire life. No matter what was happening, ups, downs, or otherwise, I could grab a guitar and sit down. And at times I would even forget that it was the escape. And I would discover it again, almost like rediscovering a love, you know? But no matter what was going on in my life, I could sit down and grab a guitar and play for about an hour, and I would come out of it on the other end just better.
Absolutely.
It's cathartic, it's a release, and it always has been. And I never really pursued it genuinely until fairly recently. And the way it happened has been all very strange and surreal as it was. You know, as you alluded to there, I met you
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, gosh, I don't know, almost.
Yeah, you walked in on a mic night, yeah.
Yeah, I walked in on an open mic night when I think I was like 17 or 18 or something.
You were a young guy then.
And, you know, there's been a lot of road since then.
Sure.
And then it seems that kind of all this just sort of happened. And, we don't have to get into mystical and fate and that type of thing, but it all has happened very unexpectedly and very suddenly. As
people
love
mystical and fate. Break it down.
It just... My dad told me my whole life, he said, son, until something's meant to happen, you can't make it happen. And when it's meant to happen, you can't stop it.
Right.
And it's all very much felt that way because this whole journey has been very organic. I haven't done anything particularly different. So much as just keep doing what I was doing. And I think, of course, you can't discount what is popular right now musically. Like my style of music is generally doing well right now with like Zach Bryan and Chris Stapleton and that kind of stuff, Tyler Childers, other people from this region.
Tyler,
it's doing very well, and so people are receptive to what I'm doing now more so than maybe they were before. But
you bring up a good point. We have come out of, in the country music scene in particular, that we went through a spell of this, what I call pop with a country overlay phase in the country music scene. And I think, and I credit this to a local boy, Chris Stapleton, is kind of the one that brought us out of that back into the here's what country actually sounds like phase. In my opinion, what do you think?
I agree. I think he did the most in the popular eye to do that. But there was always both things. Like there, you can look up, there's a clip of Tyler Childers from 7 or 8 years ago when he still got the long hair, and he was getting an award at the I think it was like the Americana Awards.
It was.
Or something.
That's where he got his fame basically.
And he said that he thought Americana wasn't no part of nothing. He's a country music singer, and so that kind of sort of stuff. It was always around Sturgill Simpson playing his guitar outside of the ACMs because he wasn't invited with his Grammy sitting in the guitar case.
Oh yeah.
Like there's stuff like that. Sturgill Simpson also, by the way, grew up in Versailles from Jackson originally, so. I personally think these mountains have more talent than anywhere in the world, and I think we've shown that throughout history and are continuing to show that with Chris Stapleton and Tyler and Sturgill and many other Eastern Kentucky boys who aren't coming to my mind right now.
Okay, but then you got to ask on a socio-scientific, because that leads to a socio-scientific question I want to ask you. One of the things that has been known throughout the history of the Appalachians is that we were somewhat cut off from the rest of the world, so to speak. Now that's becoming a lot less now with the prevalence of the internet and the expanding highways and stuff like that. But throughout the history of the Appalachian Mountains, there was their own. It was basically its own subculture. You couldn't really even say that this area, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, that this area was even southern. Because you think southern, you think like Georgia's Southern Belle. You think Louisiana. You think stuff like this ain't that.
Alabama and stuff like that.
The Appalachia
is always
the Appalachia is its own thing.
Well, so you hit it right on the head because it comes from both ways. It wasn't like the world, the nation sectioned us off here.
Right.
A lot of it has to be where we section people off.
And it's the natural geographic environment too. It was, you would have these large families that would get together into these holler areas like we were just talking about.
Yep.
And then to entertain themselves, they would become musical and play music. And then their contact with the outside world is load up, kids. Once a month, we're going to go into town and buy 400 pounds of flour.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go back to their holler. So that we developed a musical culture unlike any other here out of necessity, I believe. What do you think?
That's the story of the Appalachian region. There's some very interesting linguistic things that you can look up about why we speak the way we do, being descended from Old English and being isolated by the geographic region of the Appalachian Mountains, which led to a lot of, or not to segue too far here, but led to a lot of, for example, why people say whoosh instead of wash here.
This is your hot night for the live, so you have to speak up for that.
Okay, yeah, and our Appalachian accent in many ways is descendant and the closest remaining of the Old Irish and English speech, and that is because of the geographic isolation primarily.
More so than current English.
Yeah. And so that comes with the music too, and poverty. They say necessity is the mother of invention. I think oftentimes poverty is the mother of invention. If you need an electrician, you don't call one, you are one, bro. You want to play. You wanted something to do in these mountains. You picked up an instrument, and the banjo was a African instrument.
Well, I think honestly, entertainment factor is a big thing. There's not that much in the years ago, but even more so now. There's still, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have the opioid problems that we have, because entertainment's not been prevalent, to be able to fit that niche. But we used to play the stuff at Christmas, at Thanksgiving, at Easter. The families used to get together around home here in Eastern Kentucky. And,
ours still does.
And everybody does play and stuff like that, and so we actually created our own entertainment. And that's why I think a lot of people are so good instrumentalists and this and that, even along with vocals, is the fact that that's what they had to do. There was nothing else to do. So let's pick up a guitar and let's learn how to play it. Everybody get together and let's sing. And I think that's probably one of the successes that Appalachian Insider has done with what they do down at the farmhouse. On Friday nights, just everybody gets together and picking and grinning and all that kind of stuff, But
unfortunately, we have been on a bit of a hiatus with that. We have had to pull back from that a little bit, but it does still go on. Farmhouse does still have live music on Fridays. People come in, still play, and get together.
I show up when I don't have any shows.
Yeah, I mean, so it's something that everybody and like we were just talking about in this region of Appalachia, there are so many people that are musically inclined and just want to be able to get together with everybody and play.
Yeah. Our dad had 9 brothers and sisters, and when they were children, my grandmother and grandfather would have them line up and sing together every day.
Wow.
That was what they did. They would line up and they would all sing. Dad's an excellent singer and always was, and as far as I've ever heard, all of his brothers and sisters were too.
Oh, yeah.
But from the time they were little bitty kids, they would all line up in the living room and sing songs together because they wouldn't know nothing else to do.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm excited about in talking with some of the administrators and stuff like that here on the county level and even on the city level, with them doing what they've done at the city park. And we'll probably be down there this week having a booth and all that, interviewing people and stuff. But one of the biggest things is the music, and to be able to have an opportunity. They built a stage down there. They're getting ready to put a roof on it and stuff. And the main thing is to have something organized and have something on a Friday or a Saturday night, to the point. I remember Tony Tackett was the tourism director over in Johnson County when I lived over that direction, and he started Front Porch Picking there, and he was really kind of upset at first. And I said, Tony, what's the matter? And he said, well, we don't have that big a turnout or whatever. I said, the main thing you got to do in Eastern Kentucky to make things happen, you got to create a destination center, a point where people are going to come to. You keep doing it and keep doing it and doing it. Now, Front Porch Picking is a big thing over there.
Oh, yeah, I went over there for the first time the other day, and the room was packed. And the reception to me, wildly enough, just as a cool moment, I sang one of my original songs, and probably 20 people in the crowd were singing with me. And I was like, how do you know this?
Wow.
And so that tickled me. I've never been there, never been on that stage. Really? They didn't know who I was.
Oh, goodness.
But apparently they knew who I was, which was really cool, especially cool in the kind of the hometown region. Whoever's over the stage at the city park, what are we doing? Call me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're looking to maybe help me get that together for them. And not along with that, but they're also going to do some things on with children's theater. So we might be doing some things down there with that as well, because I was involved with that out at Paintsville Lake, and I've probably done over 40 shows out there, adults and young people, and I was the one that kind of spearheaded that, and they wanted me to look into helping them do that. But we need somebody to be able to organize to do that, because there are so many people that can play. And
There's so much talent in just this county alone.
Yeah.
I could sit down right now, personally, and write you a list of 20 professional quality musicians, legitimately, that I know personally that are just from here, and most of them are working at the water department or over at whatever, they're in a union job. They're not musicians, but they're musicians.
Yeah.
They're as good as anybody you'd ever see.
Well, I mean, that's something that hopefully we can get going and doing some things. And, one of the things that I want to do, that I'm looking forward to do in the future, is be able to take the label that I have and be able to promote some of these local people, to get an opportunity not only to have a chance of have airplay out there, but to even talk to a lot of these radio stations and see if we can get them in rotation and stuff like that, to be able to do some things. So,
have you heard about I wanted to bring that up. I sent you a thing about it the other day. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. There is a radio station that is started up out of Pressenburg that only plays music associated with Route 23 and the Country Music Highway.
Cool.
And they actually bring in local musicians.
Is it internet radio? Is that what it is?
No, this is an actual. I don't think so. I believe this is an actual radio station. It's set up in the MAC, in the Mountain Arts Center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they provide studio space for local artists to come in and be able to record and they'll air their tracks.
They've got a real
station.
nice studio over there. Joe Campbell is a good friend of mine that's executive director there. And I mean, I knew that when Keith Calder was there, and Keith did a lot of stuff. I've actually done probably over 10 shows at the MAC myself.
I know a friend of mine, Jennifer, used to work there. She was one of the directors over it.
They've had a lot of changes recently, I guess, with the city taking a lot of things over and stuff like that. But, well, we got opportunities, and I think that's, where Ethan and guys like him can be able, and ladies, to excel. There's a lot of good people out there that we need to try to get them a footprint out there, and to let more people hear about their stuff. Let's talk a little bit more personally. You country singer? Is that how you classify yourself, or what would you say? You said you're all over the board on style, but
acoustic musician.
Okay, what do you?
Appalachian.
Okay, what do you really? What gets behind you when you write a song, or what are you doing? Is it based on personal experience? Is it something that you see, or
very much personal?
How do you get
experience.
into the writing part of it? I guess if you'd share that with everybody and stuff. One of the big things that I know a lot of people at venues, particularly when you're trying to promote yourself, is to give them a video that they can see as from the marketing standpoint, to learn about that person. They look at people up there and they see them perform on stage, and they do a great job. But my thing is 70% of the performance is based on stage presence. You can be the greatest singer in the world and get up there and sing one song right after the other, but that audience, to know your audience and know those people out there you're singing to, and sharing what you got in your heart with them and making that connection. I always tell people, how do you sell records? And they look at me and they say, what are you talking about? And I said, well, how do you sell your CDs and all this kind of stuff? Well, why do you think people buy CDs? And they said, well, it might be an artist you like or whatever this. And I said, no. People buy your CD because when you go out there and you perform and you do your music for them, you hit a nerve inside them.
1,000%.
Yes, sir. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way that what he's trying to do and relate to me in this song and stuff. I'm going to buy that music because that created a feeling inside them, and they want to keep reliving that feeling. That's why they buy your music. You have people listen to a song 1,000,000 times. Well, that's the reason, because it creates an emotional response in them. Everybody says, well, I don't know that's right, Terry. And I said, well, I can tell you that it is.
That's fact, for sure.
Based on, what I've sold and CDs in the past, people buy them for that reason.
Some of the most famous musicians in the world, some of the largest selling musicians in the world, and this is fair to say for actors or any other kind of entertainment, but specifically musicians. And a perfect example of this is Taylor Swift. So some of the most famous musicians in the world, the musician becomes the brand, and the brand develops followers that associate. So, for example, like iPhone followers.
Yeah.
When you become an iPhone user, if you're an iPhone user, people will argue over iPhone and Android. Swifties will argue over. It ain't even just Taylor Swift's music anymore. At this point, she is the brand, and they are Swifties.
I've had women get straight up antagonistic when I said I didn't particularly like Taylor Swift. No, don't attack me, Swifty.
Absolutely.
She's talented and she's doing crazy stuff. I'm just saying, like, I don't relate to her music. If you like her, that's awesome. But I've had people get mad.
But that's my point.
Mad.
That's my point. At a certain point, with some of the greatest musicians throughout history, it wasn't even at a certain point about their music.
Beatlemania, man.
It's that they are my brand.
Michael
they
Jackson.
Are my brand.
Beatlemania, Michael Jackson, Elvis,
Michael
anybody.
Jackson,
Like
Elvis. They are mine. That is my thing.
Yeah. Well, I think we're a lot, particularly here as people in Eastern Kentucky, we're a real bit clannish. So we kind of attach ourselves to that personality. I know, particularly in the church scene a lot, everybody says, well, I'm not a Methodist, I'm not a Baptist or Pentecostal or whatever. I go to Jim Bob's church over there. Right. That's his church.
That's where I go.
And they start to identify him, themselves almost with that person. That can be good and that can be bad, but
it is a fact of human nature.
It is. And I think for us here in Eastern Kentucky, it's even more so. But give me an example or talk to us about a song that you wrote, something that hit you and hit the heartstrings or whatever made you do. What's your favorite tune?
My favorite song, personally?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. Probably, I have so many favorite songs. Probably something by Zeppelin or, Since I've Been Loving You by Zeppelin, maybe. Oh, yeah. I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, as far as like hearing something that you relate to, I think that's the big reason that specifically in this region that Tyler Childers and Chris Stapleton and Sturgill Simpson and even I'll mention another guy, Charles Wesley Godwin, who's from West Virginia, so Appalachia as well. Mm-hmm. Their music, I know at least for me, I'll speak for my own self, a lot of their music just resonates because they grew up like we grew up, And so when you hear their songs, you hear Tyler Childers' song "Nose on the Grindstone," which is a song about his dad talking to him, saying, keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. And like you've talked about the opioid crisis and all of that in this area, and just stuff like that. And not to say there aren't beautiful things about Appalachia too, but of course we have struggles like everywhere else. And a lot of those guys in their music, they speak to the struggles that a lot of us have seen in this region, while also speaking to the beauty and the creativity. Sonny Best be another great example.
Yeah, Sonny Best.
Long Way to Wheelwright's a beautiful song.
Halfway to Hazard.
Halfway to Hazard was very good as well. Yeah. And so, for me personally, to bring it around and kind of try to unpack all that at once, I write about what I live. Mm-hmm. And I've told a few people, I don't know that I write anything without getting too, again, overtly spiritual here.
Yeah.
It kind of just shows up. Mm-hmm. I just live my life. I talk to people, I meet people, I go places, I experience things, and then all of a sudden words come into my head and I catch them before they get away. Mm. I don't generally ever sit down and make a concerted effort to write anything. I know a lot of people do, and that's great for them, but for me that's never really worked.
Wow.
And so when it comes, it comes. And when it comes, it usually comes in one big flow. Like I'll write a verse, chorus, verse, done, and then I'll revisit it a little bit, change a word here and there if it doesn't sing well, but it's done. And
one of the, I've talked to a lot of songwriters and stuff, particularly in Nashville, and it amazed me because when I first got into the biz, I guess it was like, I'm going to wake up at 11:30 this night and the good Lord's going to give me this and I'm going to sit down and write this song out and it's going to be a hit, And that don't work that way. It's a skilled trade. Mm-hmm. They get down there and they're talking about, okay, what's your writing style, Terry? I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, you write chorus, verse, this and that. Where's your hook, where's your tag here, and you got an instrumental bridge here, and I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? Because initially when I got involved with things like that, I had no idea. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the songs, it's amazing of how technically it is.
Well, they've got it to a formula.
Are you going to put a hook in at the beginning of your verse? What are you going to do? You're going to put an instrumental bridge in between the first chorus, and the first verse and all that kind of. There's a lot of it. It's a technical skill.
I listen to some of these documentaries though, and this isn't to counter what you're saying, but to kind of add to it.
Yeah.
There is, in writing a song, there is a procedure. You got to do it this way.
I told Dad a while back, there are rules in music, and if you don't think there are rules in music, break one.
But
you'll know.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of documentaries that I've seen from musicians where they said this song here that blew up. So I was listening to REM, documentary by REM the other day, and they said this song here that just blew up. They was like, we never.
Losing My Religion.
That's it. Mm-hmm. We never expected the guy that played the mandolin in the song. He's like, I still don't play mandolin. Mm-hmm. We were just sitting around playing, and we wrote the song, and we liked the song, so we added it to the album. But we didn't think it would be anything. Now it does have that regiment, like you said. Here's the chorus, here's the structure, of the song. But I can't tell you how many musicians throughout history that I've listened to documentary be like, yeah, that song that blew up, we had no idea. We thought this one was going to be the big one. And then it was this one. So people's taste is
I can give you an example of that anecdotally in my own, to whatever scale it is, music career, and that's that. Like I said, as far as songwriting for me goes, I don't generally ever make a concerted effort to write anything. I have people ask me to write them songs all the time, of course, and I'll tell them I will try my best, and I would love to, but I don't really control this. Yeah. And it's hard for people that aren't musicians or been around. And I know you understand what I'm saying, and you understand what I'm saying to a degree as well, because it's hard for them to understand that when I say, hey, I don't control this. Yeah. It just appears. Yeah. For example, the song that I have that's the most popular is called Good Mountain Shine. It's the one I sung at the Hall of Fame Museum the other day. And
that is not my favorite that you do.
And it's not your favorite, and frankly, it's not my favorite either, though I do love it. But it's by and far the most popular. There's an old video of it on Facebook that's got like 13,000 views or something like that. And it did pretty well. A lot of people know it. And like I said, pretty much every show I sing it at, somebody sings with me, which is surreal. Mm-hmm. I wrote that song in 2 minutes on a napkin. Mm-hmm. It just appeared. It was just something fun. I just wrote it out real quick. It's about making moonshine and running from the law, and it was just a fun country outlaw yeehaw kind of song. Yeah. Wrote it down in 2 minutes. Never really thought about it. Wrote out a blues shuffle and E. Had my cousin do a little mandolin thing on it, recorded it and put it online, and it is far and away the most popular song I've written and recorded, and I've recorded quite a few of them at this stage, and likely the first one I'll record professionally given the chance. But it kind of to tie into what he said there is that, like, I wrote that in 2 minutes on a napkin. It was not I didn't put a lot of stock into it. It all come out in one big flow, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, done.
Have you all ever seen the movie I Can Only Imagine?
Yes.
With Mercy Me and all that kind of stuff. A dude wrote about it.
Yeah, Tim McGraw played the father.
Yes, he did. And it was a situation to where he was writing about his dad, the relationship they had right there. And, I mean, he just
there's one scene
sit down one night.
There's one scene in the movie his dad crushes him right across the head with a glass plate.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, fight's on. Mm-hmm. No fight.
But, it's amazing. Like what you said, Ethan, go along with that too. I think there are things that are subplanted in your mind that and I mean, I've done some tunes that people have come to me and said, write songs about this or write this about that, and it's almost like a divine inspiration, but one of the things to me is I produce a lot, and it's amazing because I don't play a lot of instruments, but
neither does Rick Rubin.
The gift that I have, I think, and when I go in the studio and people are playing riffs or this and that or whatever, is the ability of if someone's getting me a scratch vocal out about a song they've done, I can almost start hearing the different instruments in the back of my mind. So when we go into production and stuff, it's like, okay, we need to add a little lead guitar here, put some rhythm in here, give me some keyboards here, or we may need to do some string music here, this and that or whatever. So, much like you said, how a song comes to you, that's how it does to me from the production standpoint. I start hearing things, and it's so amazing because there's a lot of times I've gone in the studio for people are mastering their stuff, when it's done and all that. And I'll say, well, why don't you put this riff in here or whatever and this and that? And they go back and they'll change it to do that because it's so much different. And it's just something that you have in your head.
Yeah.
It just kind of comes
I don't
to
think
you.
Rick Rubin plays a great many instruments, and I could be wrong about that. Rick Rubin's probably the greatest producer to ever live, arguably. Jimmy Page being one of them as well. Jimmy Page produced all of the Zeppelin stuff by himself, remastered it all, and all that.
Well, I love the Zeppelin.
Of course, Jimmy
era.
Page is a
That's kind of my era,
multi-instrumentalist
I
and
guess
brilliant.
you could say,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Led Zeppelin's the greatest band of all time, and I'll stand and die on that hill. But
Oh, Mr. Black feels the same way. I saw their
greatest band of all time.
induction into the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall
I
of
still
Fame.
have Bob Seger and Silver.
I love Bob Seger,
I
but
do
he ain't
too.
Zeppelin.
Saw him in Nashville, and he
I
puts
did
on,
too. We might have been in the same
he
concert.
puts
What
on a
was that?
show, dude. Yeah, he was with Kiss and Kenny Loggins and all that down there.
We saw him in Nashville, and I want to say late '90s, early 2000s. So
I was a
just
baby.
kid. Yeah, he was Ethan was a baby.
It was like
And when
99,
we
I
had
think.
front row seats.
Oh wow.
He come over. Apparently, I danced through the whole show on Mom's lap, and he come over and waved at me, and I waved back at him.
It was a 3-hour
know.
concert.
Yeah.
That he did an hour and a half, went off stage, took a smoke break, come on and did another hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was.
That's how I do it.
That was kind of the person he does. Now, okay, that we talked about a lot of craziness, but let's get back to you. I want to know more about you and what we can do to be able to help you in your career and all that kind of stuff. What have you done as far as putting anything on tape, or do you have CDs that you have that you're selling right now, or what are you looking to do as far as moving forward, marketing, promotions, things of that nature? Because a lot of time everybody first thing asks, you got any product? Let me see it. Let me listen to you,
Mm.
And then the next thing they want to do is the way I used to do when I was signing artists was, I'm going to come see you. And I don't know, probably 80% of the time it was terrible. They may have the greatest voice. There's this one girl, her name was Lynn Zuberer from Nashville, Tennessee.
Shout out to Lynn.
She she was awesome. Blues singer, jazz, she could rival the best of them. But when I went to see her live, I couldn't get the correlation of the artist to with the music. She was singing a lot of stuff from the point of impressing somebody, but I wanted to get the message. You know what I'm saying? I want to know who you are. And the biggest thing I think, a lot of people know you, but they want to know what you stand for. And
So you're looking for the soul behind the art.
basically, and I think that's, when you get that, then you're going to have people that are in the biz, I guess you could say, that'll catch their eye and that'll catch their bug. They call it uniqueness. I got to have something that's unique, Terry. Give me something, nobody else has got. And, the big thing about that is you share yourself. If you got songs you're writing about, your past or things that's happened to you, you share those with an audience. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know the whole story. And so what can we do as a group, as people, and it may even go into, like you're saying, you can name 20 people out there locally that you feel that have the goods, because you either know whether you have it or not. I'm sorry, it's there. If you don't have it, you don't have it. If you do have it, it's like I was telling you about your other son. That's what, 15?
Yes.
He's brilliant.
Very talented.
He's
a very talented guy. And but if he wants to go into that business, then there's a direction that's going to have to start in his life right now in order to put those footsteps in place. The same thing with you. Tell us where you're at right now. What do you want to do as an artist? Do you want to do this professionally to supplement your income, to pay for what you're doing? Because, a lot of people always tell me, they say, well, daggone, Terry, you can be a regional artist and you can pay for yourself and you can go out and do what you want. You can make good music and all this stuff. And there's a lot of truth to that, but there's a way of getting that known regionally to be able to do that.
So that's
Turning Ground was a good example of a group that was here at one time. People knew them all over the place. They had some tunes that started to chart, things of that nature. But, where you at where you want to go and how you want to end up for whatever. Have you ever thought about those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me, to better explain where I'm at and where I'm ideally going, let's talk about where
what's
I'm
your next step? Yeah.
So, because to understand how we got here, we got to take it back a little bit.
Okay, good.
Now, you met me when I was very young, so you know that I've been doing this musical thing, and frankly, sounded mostly like this since I was about 16. You heard me.
I would counter that. I think you've improved.
I have improved, certainly, but also I posted a video of me singing at the Mac at 18 a while back, and I sounded like this. You know, certainly I've gotten better. Hopefully I've gotten better. Mm-hmm. That's the point. But with that said, it was in there already. Now, I've been musical since I was young. Like I said, I never really pursued this necessarily, though I've been on and off stages and in and out of bands and writing or whatever. Like, for example, the 3 of my original songs I wrote when I was 18 or 19, and I still have them and didn't write again. Now, life happened and it took its course, and, you know, live life, love, in the pursuit of happiness or whatever, and music kind of took a back seat, as it does for a lot of people.
You gotta earn a living.
Gotta earn a living, and sometimes you have to choose.
Is it a hobby or is it a vocation?
Correct. Yeah, and at some points you have to. At many points in life, you got a couple paths you can take, and you got to choose one. And at one point in my life, I chose a different path, and I don't regret that. And it is what it is. But things changed, as they often do, and I found music again when I was, frankly, in the darkest point in my life, when everything else got real bleak. Once again, I picked up a guitar. I started writing again, and I started playing again, and I started playing at parties or playing at friends' houses, and I got back into it pretty passionately because it was, again, something I could find an escape and channel the feelings that I had that I didn't do very well talking about. I could sing about, I could write about, and I could play songs, even if it wasn't songs that I wrote, that explained how I felt.
Sure.
And you know, there's just nothing like being in a room full of people and playing a song and singing and having the whole room sing with you, and the emotion and the feeling and that kind of thing. It's cathartic and it's different. So, long story long, I started playing again, and I was playing at parties, and I played a couple free shows at Mi Hacienda over here. I've been lifelong friends with Juan and his family that own the restaurant, so I played 2 or 3 free shows there, and just kind of started dipping my toes in and dabbling again. I was starting to kind of try to get a hold of venues and that sort of thing, but I'd never, for context here, and I tell people a lot, don't get it twisted, man, it took 10 years for me, or 15 years for me to become an overnight success. Like, I've been doing this a long time and never made $1, but I never wanted to make $1. I didn't care. I've always been in this for the love of music, and I don't care about the money, and the money has started to come now to a certain degree, and that's beautiful, but it's never been the point. And so I played a couple shows at Mi Hacienda, and things were starting to kind of happen again, but I'm just in it for the love of it. So I was just writing and playing wherever I could go, and fast forward to the middle of February, and I want to tell this story because it's kind of what I was talking about when it all has been so very surreal and almost like divine in some ways, because it was so unlikely. In the middle of February, I went to a now unfortunately closed venue in Paintsville called the Alley on Main. And the Alley,
I believe it's reopening.
I believe it is reopening. I hope it's reopening, and if you see this, I want to come play again. Call me. So message me. I went to the Alley on Main in the middle of February just as a patron. I showed up. It was I believe a Saturday night. It might have been a Friday night. It doesn't really matter. And I was there with some of my friends, and I went in just to hang out. And the Alley pretty much always on Fridays and Saturdays had live music, though I didn't know they were going to this time. But it was a pretty happening venue for a good minute there.
It was.
Excellent food, good drinks, cool staff, great place. So I just went in there. And as I came walking in, I never have forgotten this because it is so crazy how it worked out. As I came walking in, I turned and looked at my friend, and I said, I just want to play here so bad. I said, I've messaged the staff, I've talked to people, and they seem to be interested, but like, I get it, everybody probably tells them, you know, whatever, I understand that. And I said, if I could just get on that stage for a second, if I could just get up there for a second and show them what I can do, then maybe they'll hire me. And my friend looked at me and said, yeah, I know, I agree, whatever. And that was that. Went in, sat down, ordered a pizza, ordered some drinks, hanging out, and there's two guys on stage playing music who at the time I didn't know, and they're doing an excellent job. One's playing piano, one's playing guitar. They're both singing lead and harmony and that kind of thing. Turns out they're brothers. I later found out. Shout out to the Hall brothers. They're great dudes, and they tour around musicians as well. I didn't know them at the time, though. But they're doing very much the kind of music that I like and grew up with. They're doing Seeger. They're doing Stapleton. They're doing what will end up being my set lists pretty similarly as I didn't know at the time. And they're doing a great job. Now, I don't know what necessarily, again, it could be divine, it could not, but for some reason, I knew I needed to get on that stage. But I didn't know what I was going to do so. So fast forward to about 11:30 that night, and they're still going. Crowd's still pretty good. And the boys in the band go out to have a smoke break. I'm over there standing by the stage, leaned up against the wall, waiting on my friend to come out of the bathroom. And, I don't want to stand in front of the bathroom and be weird. So I'm just standing by the wall right there by the stage at the alley when the band comes back in. And the guy sits down at his piano. And for some reason, I still to this day don't know why, without a second's hesitation, I said, "Hey, man." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll sing a song with you." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yep." And he said, "All right, come here. My friend's in the bathroom has no idea this is happening. Now I'm on stage." So I jump up there, and he was like, "Well, you really want to sing?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, what do you know?" I said, "What you been playing, dude?" He goes, "All right, do you know Tennessee Whiskey?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, cool. Do you play?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You want to play that guitar?" I said, "I do." So he hands me the guitar, and I sit down, and he's on the piano. The other brother hasn't came back in yet. Again, keep in mind, I don't know these people. This is all very unexpected. So he hits the first couple chords of Tennessee Whiskey on piano, and I jump in and accompany him on guitar. At this point, he turns around and looks at me, and it seems he kind of gives me a look of, "Well, you've got this." So he gets up off the stage and goes and sits in the crowd. And now I'm just on stage.
Well,
So I play through and sing Tennessee Whiskey. The reaction is pretty immediate. Everybody in the crowd's like, who are you? What's happening? And he's talking to my friend being like, who is he? What is happening?
Yeah.
So I finished my song, and I was like, "Thanks, man. That was really cool." And he kind of looks at his watch. Logan Hall, again, shout out. Looks at his watch and goes, "Play another one." So I play another song. Finish it again. "Thanks, man. That was really cool." "Play another one, bro." So I play another song. So now I've done 3 songs. The crowd's going crazy. They're singing with me, and everybody's like, "Who are you?" And they then joined me on stage. We played the last song of their set because I've now accidentally joined a band. And he shakes hands, announces my name and who I am. I get off stage, and I get given a business card by Calvin Daniel, who I didn't know at that time either, but he runs 606 Hemp. Shout out.
yeah.
Was associated with the alley. You know Calvin, I'm sure. Cool dude. And
Calvin, contact me for advertising.
Yeah.
that was a free plug. Y'all pay for the next one.
That's right.
But we love you, Calvin.
Yeah.
And so he gives me a business card, and he's like, "Who are you? Have you played? Do you do gigs?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, kind of. I've actually tried to play here, but it hasn't worked necessarily." And he says, "Okay, send me a message. Here's my stuff. We'll make that happen." I said, "Okay." But, again, I know how this all works.
Oh, yeah, sure,
I'm not holding my breath necessarily, but
yeah.
he seemed very excited, and I saw several other people come over and talk to my friends and be like, "Who is this?" and whatever. So Monday morning, I believe it was, I sent Calvin a message, and I just kind of kept it very brief. "Hey, it's me. I was the one on the stage. I just wanted to touch base with you and tell you that anytime, you guys want me to come play at the alley, I'd love to. Just say when." That kind of thing. He messaged me back, says, "All right, brother, we'll get it happening. We'll keep an eye out." Fast forward. Thursday of that week, I get a message from Calvin at like 7 p.m. Calvin says, "Hey, man, what are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "I don't know. Why?" And he said, "Well, our band dropped out. Can you play from 8:30 to 11:30, I think it was. That is 3 whole hours." Now, fortunately, I was primed a little bit. I'd played the Free Me Hacienda shows. I'd played a lot of parties for many hours. So it wasn't, I wasn't unprepared, but I certainly wasn't prepared
Well,
either.
I'm going to tell you, 3 hours of a show
It's not a joke.
takes it out of you.
It is not a joke.
If you're not in shape vocally or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
It can make you hoarse.
Yeah, it's not a joke. And so of course, I said, absolutely, I'll be there. And now I'm scrambling. And I figure out a set list. I'll go over there. And, well, I gave it everything I had. The response was excellent. And about halfway through the show, Calvin walks over and he says, hey, man, what are you doing next Friday? I said, hopefully this. He said, yep.
Oh, that's good.
The venue ended up, we won't, get too into it here. The venue ended up treating me very well as far as payment wise. I did incredible on tips and I got hired for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I ended up doing like a 3 or 4 week run at the Alley. Every show they would hire me for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
People were loving it. They were showing up. And from there, long story, very long, this has all grown completely organically. I haven't really chased any type of venues. Like you said, it's just I play at the Alley, and then from the Alley, people from Dewey's happen to be there. They hired me from Dewey's, people from this place and this place and this place and this place, and it's all just completely been organic. And just so many unlikely, strange things have just happened to line up. Like I got hired last minute for a show at the campground at Jenny Wiley.
I saw that.
I done that show at the campground at Jenny Wiley, and it just so happens that a girl named Heather was there. Heather works for Knott County Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Heather said, hey, we're doing this big thing on Memorial Day, and you're really good. Let's make this happen. Next thing you know, I play at Memorial Day.
Sure.
They love me. They bring me back up for a second set. I get a bunch of tips. Everybody loves me. And now, to get to that, I'm opening for Easton Corbin. We're playing on the same ticket, call it whatever you want, on July 6th at 7 p.m. in Knott County.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all been entirely organic and
Sure.
grown on its own. So with that being said, to come back to your question of where am I heading and what am I doing, I had to kind of explain to you how we got to here
Sure.
to make all this make sense and to
Yeah.
say that what I'm doing is what I've been doing. Anytime, any stage, anywhere, you call me, you pay me, I'll show up with a guitar and I will give you everything I got for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep writing. I want people to keep hearing me. I'm not particularly interested in signing a record deal. I feel that they'll come to me when it's time.
Absolutely.
So what I want to keep doing is I want to keep playing shows and letting people hear me. I want to get in the studio and record some of my music and self-release it because that seems to be the path forward now.
It is.
It seems to be the way that Oliver Anthony and Gavin Adcock and Jelly Roll and all the people that are really killing it, Zach Bryan even to a certain degree, though he did have a label, it seems to be the way to do this thing. And as far as I can tell, the crowds are growing. The people are coming. I'm playing. I've missed maybe 2 weekends since the middle of February. Otherwise, I played 1 to 2 shows every week. I played in West Virginia. I played all over East Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I did a county fair and hung out with the mayor of Matron, West Virginia.
You have Central Kentucky coming up soon, too.
I'm going to be playing in Georgetown and Richmond, and I'm going all over the place. And it's just entirely organic.
That's great.
So what do I want to do? I want to keep playing music.
Okay.
I want to play shows. I want to let people hear me. And if I, frankly, at this stage now, if I died tomorrow, I would be content knowing that I gave this everything I got.
Sure. Absolutely.
And that it's gone farther than I ever dreamed. And it very much, at least to me, seems to be that I'm on the right track for once in my life, and it almost seems borderline divine because, boy, has it been unlikely.
Our man 606 DJ Timmy said, tell eBay Timmy loves you.
Love you, Timmy.
Well, one of the main things, and I found
That
this
like
out.
and share button, fam.
I was lucky to have a couple, hits, I guess you could say, across the country, radio-wise. But that's if you get into promotion, okay? And you can do that on a small scale as an independent artist. But I couldn't live being on the road with what they paid me, tips or this and that or whatever. In my business, you call it love offerings or whatever. If I hadn't sold merch, I would have been in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I could go and I could do a youth camp or something like that on a weekend in Gatlinburg or whatever, and that would supply me for the month. That one gig that weekend or whatever, and merch was the only thing that saved me because a lot of times, and particularly in gospel, people don't think they should pay. Well, you're doing this for the Lord, all that, but people don't realize even as a young artist, you got to have something to be able to sell them. Number one is the moments that you're just talking about that you created. how many CDs could he have sold if you'd had one right there?
Oh,
So
certainly.
basically,
yeah.
you're saying he ain't passing out fishing in Lowe's, and he knows I got to eat.
Yes. And that's the main thing you're at right now. To me, Ethan, I mean, I'm not trying to give you any advice or this and that or whatever, but you're at the incubator part of your career. But what you've got to do now is start looking to help merchandise yourself to the point to where this may become a profession and maybe something that can support you. And like you said, you've been blessed to where venues and stuff like that are paying you.
They've been very good to me.
And the
Especially even
tips
just
have been
local
good.
venues. The tips have been great, and just, you know, you can,
You know what
to do
you know what the first question that a record label asks you?
what?
The first question. How much stuff did you sell last year?
Yeah.
You know why? Because they see hundreds and thousands of people every day. But if they know that you can sell merchandise, if you can sell CD, well, how many did you sell last year? Well, I sold about 20,000. Okay, well, let's talk about a deal then. Because they know that they're going to get a part of that 20,000 CDs that's done out there and produced out there and all that kind of stuff. So it's terrible to say, but it almost gets into the point when you're at the stage in your career right now that you've got to find a way to help, you know, put you out there to get more places to sell more merchandise. And when you do that and you start doing that, that's when the people will come to you and they'll say, "What did you sell last year?" And then when you come up and say, "Well, I sold 20,000 units," that's where people get excited.
I think in the modern music landscape, though, I think CDs aren't really the thing anymore. So I think what the next step for me is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the next step for me is to get into a studio, cut a couple, 3 songs that I've written that I think are good and other people seem to too.
Sure.
And self-release those on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music.
Well, you can do
that sort of
that,
thing.
but when it gets to the point where people are going to drop your music, that's where they're going to drop the Taylor Swifts and the people like that. One of the things that I've always done in the past is, like what you're saying, get in the studio, get you an EP, 4 or 5 tunes or whatever, get it on, and some people are sending out the CDs for free. When I did my first single as a release and my first album I sent out 45s. But I sent them out to 200 radio stations all across the country, and I had a black and white 8x10 that I signed myself and sent with that 45. It was a 45, son. And that's where I started to realize these guys are playing this stuff because they know, first of all, who I am. They can put the picture up on the wall, and it's kind of crazy, but that's how they do things. They want to know who you are.
Yeah.
So,
Terry, we got a couple of comments.
Okay.
Marshall Williams is requesting a song.
Cool.
Mackenzie Hayden said, "Don't forget us when you're big and famous, Ethan."
Love you,
We're
Kenzie.
running about 6 minutes over right now, so
Let's do a song.
Let's do a song, and then once again we'll thank our sponsors and we'll wrap it up.
That's good. That's good. With
Now,
me.
folks,
That's
bear in
great.
mind that we do not have a setup here to optimize for Ethan's singing ability or anything like that. So just if the sound quality, the sound quality will be what it is.
Yeah.
We are not optimized for music, but we're gonna do at least one song.
But we can do that, and if we get in the future where we do some of those things, that's where, we got the equipment to do it, but it's bodies. Somebody's going to have to be able to run that soundboard, get a little delay or reverb in there, and quality-wise. But we can do that down the road.
As Appalachia Insider continues to grow with you folks' support, the support of our sponsors, we hope to be able to expand out because, as Terry said many times, this is about economic development, community involvement, and politics. But one of the major things in that tri-pillar is community engagement, community involvement, and we're all about bringing attention to our local artists and our community.
Absolutely, yeah. Are you tuned up, brother?
I am. We want to go happy or sad.
Whatever
It's
you
up
want
to you. Whatever
the
turns
news
you on.
drops
What do
you.
you feel right now? I've got you a mic right there that'll pick you up too.
I think this should work.
Ladies and
hopefully.
gentlemen, Mr. Ethan Allen.
All right, we're going to go happy because we don't want to be sad.
Yeah,
So
let's go ahead.
this is the song I was alluding to a minute ago. It's about running moonshine and running from the law. It's called Good Mountain Shine.
Folks, hit that like and share button.
Got an old buddy with a moonshine seal. Ron's gonna make a careful sawmill said. Them old boys just ain't caught up yet. You mountain shine gonna save my day. When that liquor will blow you away. We've been doing this thing for many years. Ain't no lawman gonna come around here, no. Got a truck full of cars, I gotta make a run. Got a brother down south who's itching for home. I'm running down the road at full speed and I'm hiding from the law and the government greed. When I'm shine, gonna save my day. When I'm legal, will blow you away. We've been doing this thing for many years. Ain't no lawman gonna come around here, no. They got choppers in the air, boots on the ground. They're looking for me, but I won't be found. Good mountain shine, gonna save my day. Good mountain liquor will blow you away. We've been doing this thing for many years. Ain't no lawman gonna come around here, no.
Good.
You can find that on Facebook or YouTube if you want to go listen to it. I haven't recorded it yet. And just so everybody knows where to find me again, I'm Ethan Allen Music on most everything. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok's Ethan.Allen.music, Snapchat, wherever you want to find me. Just look for Ethan Allen Music. Find the hat. You'll find me. All of my upcoming shows are pinned in the top post on my Facebook page, or just message me.
If you start a band and don't name them the Green Mountain Boys, I'm disowning you.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a fail. But and this coming weekend, I will be July 6th at 7 o'clock. Like I said, I'll be on the hill at Mine Made in Knott County. Easton Corbin is the headliner, and I'm going to be on the ticket. It's going to be a great time. Fireworks, food trucks, come on out. The following weekend, I'll be in Richmond at Mi Hacienda. So come on out and check me out. And I have many shows upcoming after that all over East Kentucky and Central Kentucky and anywhere else that wants to have me. You can email me or message me if you want to book me to play your venue. I'd love to be there.
Once again, Terry, I'm going to go through and thank our sponsors.
Yeah, go ahead.
As always, the show is brought to you by Appalachia Insider and BML Business Alliance. We want to thank our sponsors, Granny Made Cheesecakes, Creekside System More, Appalachia TCG Tabletop Gaming, Royalty Community Council, McGoffin County Public Library, Sloan Chiropractic, if you need to back or crack, call Zach. TechHoller.com, Jessica D. Williams Photography, the Appalachia Connection Podcast, and our newest sponsor, 606 DJ Timmy. Contact Timmy for all your DJ needs. He does weddings, venues of any kind, and karaoke. One of the best karaoke men in the business.
If you're trying to do a shimmy, call DJ Timmy.
I like that. That's a good slogan.
That's for free, Timmy.
Yeah.
You can have that.
Well, folks, that's going to be about it.
And I'm Ethan Allen Music.
Yes.
Well, we also, once again, want to thank our guest, Ethan Allen of
Yes.
Ethan Allen Music.
And we thank you all for tuning in. We, the people of Eastern Kentucky, get out there and support Ethan and some of the things that he wants to do. Hopefully tonight will give you just a little bit of an insight look at one of the talented people that we have here in Eastern Kentucky. So
More to come. I've been in contact with some of the local Appalachia Insiders. Been doing a monthly or weekly, bi-weekly, I don't know, something like that. We have been doing a local rider spotlight. So one of those local riders will be coming in. I just spoke with him. He's interested in coming in and setting up a podcast. I'm going to be contacting, as you probably just saw in the comments, we're going to be contacting DJ Timmy to come in and set down and do an interview with us as well.
Well, one of the things, too, that I was really impressed with, I was out of town. I was up seeing my mom up in Ohio, but you live streamed some of the pageants and things down here,
I did.
didn't you, last week? And
I did. We're going to try to set up and do more stuff like that.
yeah, that's one of the things. If you have an event or something that's going on that you think that needs to get out there, and or even to the standpoint, we're probably going to be down here 4th of July weekend. Come up. We'll have a booth down there. We'll probably be asking you some questions and giving you some insight, but on about things we want to see, just like what we heard about tonight. But if you would, stay tuned with us every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. We appreciate you all. We the people of Eastern Kentucky. So with that, we'll say good night. God bless.
And you can find all my dates coming up on my Facebook page, Ethan Allen Music. And I can't announce it yet, but I hopefully am playing a local fair pretty soon. Keep your eyes open.